Welcome to the AfterMat, your source of WWE pay-per-view recaps. I am your host, the People's Champ, Cal, and alongside me, as always, I have my tag team partner, the Glamazon Delisha.
Hey guys, what's going on?
And a warm welcome back to the Hitman, Eric. I know you guys have all missed him for a while, but he's finally back. Scheduling has finally worked out.
It is great to be back. I'm so grateful to both of you for holding down the fort because you caught me up. I fell way behind on WWE, but watching the last AfterMat, you got me caught up.
Yeah,
so good job.
We sent Eric back to the developmental territory, and he's refocused. He's back, and now he's ready to go.
So, unfortunately for Eric, he is joining us for Great Balls of Fire, which happens to be the worst name pay-per-view, like I've been saying for the last few weeks. And will it be the worst pay-per-view in a long time? Maybe. We'll talk about it at the end of when we give our recap, like our overall summaries. But before we talk about that and the matches, just without giving your grade, how did you feel about the pay-per-view going in? We'll start with Eric because Eric's been gone for a while. So what did you think before going in, Eric?
Well, even with the name, I actually had hope for the pay-per-view with the match lineup. I thought the lineup was actually pretty decent, so I had hope. I definitely had hope going in.
All right, so you had a positive outlook because, on paper, the matches look great, is what you're saying. So you had you had high expectations. Okay, what about you, Delisha?
I thought about the same with the lineup of all the matches. I thought, this could be pretty good, depending on where we go, how the matches panned out, and the promos stuff for it. But I just really hated that name. It's so stupid, and I mean, I know wrestling is not like a top tier, I don't know, whatever. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. But you're trying to get people to watch wrestling, and you're like, yeah, why don't you check out pay-per-view? Great Balls of Fire. They're just making it so hard to explain to people why you love wrestling.
So you're saying it's making the Great Balls of Fire hard. Last week you said you were gagging on some Great Balls. Or last episode you were saying you're gagging on Great Balls of Fire. Now you're making them hard. A funny note though that was that they had the camera angle set up so when Sasha Banks was in the ring and when Matt Hardy was in the ring, when they had I don't know if you guys saw this on any Reddits or anything, but the camera was I guess from the floor cam that was going through the ropes up at them, so their head was kind of blocking the back logo, so all it said was "Eat Balls." So both for Matt Hardy and for Sasha Banks, it was pretty hilarious. And I'm pretty sure someone put that thing, goes, yes, that just happened. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna get some humor about it because people are not gonna like the name. And we're I know you sent out the thing the drinking game prior to it, and not only did we have to hear Great Balls of Fire 17 times during the pay-per-view, 15 alone from Booker T, we heard it in every other language as well, because you knew they were going to say it in Spanish and Hindi and Mandarin and Japanese and Russian. You knew it was coming in every language, so we couldn't avoid it in any way possible. But I was talking to Delisha last night, texting her about I really didn't know what matches were on the card besides the Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, and of course the main event for me, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. I really had no idea what else was on the card. And I remember we were even surprised to see Samoa Joe won the last pay-per-view, which was, I forgot what it was. What was the one? Not Money in the Bank, but the one before that.
Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules, yeah. I wasn't even sure about why Samoa Joe would win that match. And we're talking about how we should have him build up to this match to become a destroyer again, which he kind of did. And he did do the thing where I said he'd attack Heyman in Raw, and he did that that same night, I think it was, or the next week night. But he didn't really have that. He should have destroyed everyone, whoever got in the way, he should destroy. And then ultimately him and Brock Lesnar would have a good match. But I didn't see why Samoa Joe would be in the main event when that actually happened in Extreme Rules. So the only other match I knew was the Sasha Banks Alexa Bliss thing, which I was excited for. And then when the match opened up, they started with the promo of Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. Oh, hey, I can get excited for that match too. It looks pretty cool. So I guess we're going to start off with the kickoff show. But before we do that, we got to say hi to Joe. I think I heard him in the background. Joe, our fact checker. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Hello. What's going on, buddy?
Joe is he held it down for us. The last episode, Money in the Bank, when Eric wasn't here. Joe subbed in for you. So, but he's always in the back checking our facts. So
different,
Thank you for the sub, buddy.
So we start out with the pre-match show, which was a cruiserweight title match. Oh, before we even get into that, let's talk about Austin Aries. I remember I texted Delisha during the week. Austin Aries was released, and we didn't know why. And then, you know, I kind of found some background information about him not liking his role, being like subjected to only being a cruiserweight, kind of like typecasted and stuff like that. So, you know, after we were saying, like, you know, we talk about all those buffer matches, you know, that they have, and we thought that probably one of the best buffer matches of all time was the Neville versus Austin Aries for the cruiserweight match, and that was like probably the best match of the night from that card. It was a buffer match. Coming off of that, like, it's ridiculous that he's being released. I'm so disappointed about it.
Yeah, me too, because he was one of the main marquee guys to even turn on 205 Live. I mean, I'm sorry to the other guys who are there. I mean, those guys are great, but they're not really giving them great stories to work with. But I love tuning in to see him and Neville and even TJ Parker and
Perkins. Yeah.
Sorry, my brain is like really shot today. It's a long day at work. But you know, he was really excited to see, and I was kind of hoping to see him on the main roster and getting to some of the top tier talent. And it just sucks. It's so disappointing that WWE didn't believe in him enough to put him on the main roster and just let him go.
I mean, I was disappointed as well, because I found him to be very entertaining and pretty good worker, and I don't know why they would release him and not put him on the main thing. That doesn't make much sense. I don't know, like, what story is behind the scenes of, like, what went on, but it's definitely disappointing.
Apparently, I read something about he didn't have the best attitude backstage, and he also, and mainly because he just wasn't happy, as was mentioned, with his position as that he was only going to be a cruiserweight, and he very much wanted to be on, like, the main roster, because I guess to him, if guys like Finn Balor and Enzo Amore are competing as singles competitors on the main roster, and they're under 205, then he should be able to do the same.
To get a shot, yeah.
Right? See, he should, but he should what do you call it, pay his dues though. He should have stayed in the cruiserweight division for a little bit longer, just like Rey Mysterio. Remember when Rey Mysterio was in the? I know Rey Mysterio got bigger since he was in the cruiserweight division of WCW, but you know, all those guys kind of paid their dues through a cruiserweight division and then bulked up. And even if they didn't bulk up, like Finn Balor went through NXT. I know Austin Aries was in NXT for a little bit, but he didn't really sell as much, right? So not as much as Finn Balor did. So I feel like it might have been Austin Aries go a lot too.
I mean, even Jericho back then paid his dues in the cruiserweight division. Exactly. Yeah, that's where he really got his start.
The Lionheart.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of the cruiserweights, now we had the pre-show match, which was still the champion, the king of the cruiserweights, Neville, against Akira Tozawa, who's supposed to be in the Titus brand now, or whatever it happened. Like, I don't know how that's working out, but like, it was pretty good. Like, decent match. It wasn't one of the best cruiserweight matches we saw. A lot of like chops and like shots to the head and stuff, and back and forth action, but it wasn't as exciting as we normally see. I don't remember any really big spots either, except for the Phoenix Splash that Neville went for and he missed. Right? I don't remember any other big spots. Even how it ended too, like, it was pretty lame. I don't know what you guys.
I only saw the ending of that match of the pre-show. I mean, and I was like, if this is probably what like the whole match probably was, I didn't really miss much. I said to myself.
Yeah, Delisha, do you remember any big spots besides the botch? Well, not botch, but the Phoenix Splash. Besides that,
nope. This match was just pretty down the middle. It was all right. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and if you're not gonna have big spots, I want to see like great technical wrestling, like reversals. And all that. We didn't see that. It was kind of like punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, and that was all it was. And you know, Tozawa finally had a little upper hand, but then Neville cheated and. What do you call it when they like hang you on the ropes kind of thing by your balls or whatever it is called. So he was causing friction and causing great balls of fire on the ring ropes, and then I guess like then Neville actually, to add insult to injury, he actually kicked, or more injury to injury, I guess he kicked the top rope and then hurt more Tozawa more, and then he just did a spinning back kick to the stomach and pinned him. Like, so Neville retained, and that was so. It was so anticlimactic, or like nothing was exciting about that at all.
It's just generic.
Yes,
generic.
So then now the actual pay-per-view kicked off with Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, and I mean, I was reading that this is only like the second or third time they fought each other in singles action. Like, they haven't really fought each other that much, which is like, you know, I think they're both great workers. They're both good on the mic. Bray Wyatt's phenomenal. I shouldn't say phenomenal. You say that for certain people. He's excellent on the mic. But I always worry with Rollins, especially because like Rollins is a strong guy, but I don't see him. He can't really pick up Bray that well, and Rollins has a history of injuring top name superstars and stuff like that. So I was kind of worried about it, especially because Bray Wyatt fell off, right? Because he was champion, and then all of a sudden he's like fell. Now he's opening a card. Like, come on.
I thought the match was actually pretty better than I thought it was going to be honest. That was one of the matches I didn't think would be that good, but I thought they put on a pretty decent show to be honest.
No, it was a good opening match, I'd say. But I'm saying I don't like seeing Bray Wyatt in the opening card anymore. I was telling Alicia that I'd rather see him be more supernatural. I feel like he's getting his character is just like not supernatural anymore. He's just a normal person. I don't like that.
They're kind of like dumbing it down. Yeah.
Like you guys said, like the match itself was pretty fine. It's just that now every time Bray speaks, ever since that match with Randy Orton with the
Hoss and Hars garbage.
I'm trying to block it from my mind.
Yeah.
Ever since even then, I was just like, I am not really on board with this character anymore. It's just because the way he's been booked. It's like he's continually losing, and his little supernatural thing doesn't seem to do anything for him. So me as a viewer, I'm like, how are you this, supernatural being? You're calling yourself a god, and you can't even win a match 3 times in a row. I did like this match. Even in my nose, I'm like, oh my goodness, Bray won a pay-per-view match. But the biggest thing for me was like, why are they fighting in the first place? Still is not clear. That still was not clear to me. I don't know. What did you think, Joe?
Well, that's a match I didn't arrive. I was kind of late coming into this pay-per-view. I kind of arrived at the end of the second match, but in time for for what we'll discuss later.
Were you excited for the match at all?
Not really.
No, because I feel like the everything behind this match was always what it was the Shield versus the Wyatt family. That's what it always used to be. So seeing these guys singles, it doesn't do anything for me. I love them both individually. I love Bray Wyatt a lot more, but I want to see that supernatural aspect. The match went how it should. Bray dominant, uses dominant will over Seth Rollins with brutal strikes and stuff. But the one big spot for me was that suplex onto the apron. That looked like it really hurt. When he took him down, if it went the other way, Bray Wyatt would have been knocked out unconscious out of wrestling forever probably. What happened with Sting, unfortunately, because Seth Rollins just has a way of injuring people. But yeah, so that was the one big spot of the match in my opinion. The suplex on the outside of the apron onto the apron, that looked devastating to me.
Yeah. That was a good bump. That was definitely a good bump.
You figure Seth Rollins could take a good bump after just injuring so many people. He's got to know how to take it once in a while and not get injured. But even this match ended in a weird way where we had an eye gouge and then turned into his sister Abigail. So that's how you expect him to win. But I kind of want to see Bray Wyatt come back up. So to cheat to win like that, he was dominating the match for a lot of it. To have him win like that, I'd rather have some supernatural thing where the lights go out again and something and then Rollins gets distracted by something. So instead of just an eye gouge. And that's how I felt. So basically, Bray Wyatt won after
the finish was kind of lame.
What did you guys think of anything about the ending? You guys?
I thought it was kind of lame, but it was I kind of expected it though. I didn't expect anything super spectacular because of what they're doing with Wyatt's character right now. So I wasn't that shocked about it.
Deletion?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a fine match. It was a good opener, but just because I didn't know what they were fighting about, it's almost like when someone bumps into you at a party or something, you guys start fighting. That's what it felt like to me. So I was just like, all right, well, what do we do now? So it was a good opening match. I would just like to have seen a little bit more motivation behind why these two were in the ring together in the first place.
Exactly. So you said it perfectly. For me, who I usually fast forward through Raw and all that, and I wait for good promos. I stop to watch the good promos and certain matches. I had no idea why they're fighting, like Alicia said. And usually they have a little promo segment before, showing up, what leads up to this. And I don't think they even had that because I don't remember why they were fighting. I had no idea why they were fighting. I think it just started out with Bray Wyatt coming out. That's how the pay-per-view opened up, with Bray Wyatt coming out. Besides, welcome to Great Balls of Fire and all that. It just started with Bray Wyatt coming. I don't remember a build-up. I had no idea why they fought. I think it could have been a good.
And when you don't know why they're fighting in the context, it takes away from any match. If you don't know the context behind it.
I will say the crowd is still into Bray Wyatt. They still put the the phone lights up when he comes out, and when he goes to the corner and starts tapping his foot ready and does like the whole backwards thing.
Yep.
Apron. They gave him a pop for that. So far it does seems like the crowd is still into him. I would just like to see a little bit more push for a story and of why he would go against someone somewhere.
And I love the supernatural aspect to him. Like Undertaker, they never took his supernatural aspect away from him at all.
Until he became the American Badass.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that they should keep that with Bray Wyatt. He's like that kind of character. It's just when you don't have. I feel like
that's
maybe
what makes it him. It makes him interesting.
I think they felt like they might have messed up with that whole House of Horrors match. That they kind of want.
That was over the top.
They want to step away for at least one match or one pay-per-view.
Yeah. And
then go back to it. But I feel like they could have had something supernatural in this match, just to show. I don't know. So
it didn't even have to be, in the match itself. Just even like, I mean, he did try it was like playing mind games Seth Rollins, but again, because we didn't know what they were fighting about or for, that's why I guess it didn't really pan out. But even if it was just like a couple of weeks or even a week before, like a promo, if you see Bray Wyatt getting into Seth Rollins, how really you see Seth kind of worried a little bit. Even that would have been like a little minute story detail that would have done something.
Yeah. Well, so Bray Wyatt ends up winning. Hopefully, we'll see where he goes from there, and he does more supernatural again. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping. Seth Rollins, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I really don't care honestly with Seth Rollins right now because I feel like he should take time off. I always say for every I always find somebody to give time off to. But he's been injuring people left and right, so I feel like he's just. I mean, I know he just came back from a knee injury, but whatever. Like he deserves it. He should take time off. Yeah. That's my time off for the week. Who I always say. But after that, we had the I guess the grudge match between Enzo and Big Cass. Enzo came out, did his his normal shtick, and Big Cass, I was interested to see what music he'd come out to. I don't know if that was his music from NXT when he was by himself, or was he always with Enzo? I don't know, because I wasn't really into NXT back then. But I mean, all these matches where we see tag teams break up, I think we always see a better feud than what we saw here, right? Like I feel it's just been completely one-sided. I feel like which it should be because Enzo's so much. Cass is so much physically domineering over Enzo, so it makes sense. But like everyone likes that, like the underdog aspect, which we didn't see here.
Yeah, it was kind of like like the David and Goliath kind of type thing. But I've always been an Enzo fan. A lot of people don't like him. I've always found Enzo to be entertaining for some reason, kind of endearing. As far as the match itself, it was just this is what I kind of expected it to end, and the way it did with him just getting squashed. And I don't, the build up to this match, I didn't really have that much insight into it either, so that kind of took away from this match a little bit for me.
I mean, it was just Enzo. It was just Cass betraying Enzo, attacking him, and faking his own attack on himself. And I don't know how Corey Graves got footage to reveal it. The whole angle is stupid, but they made a story out of it. And they tried to do it, and it was just the way they revealed it. I think wasn't as good. I don't know. Delisha watches it more intently. I know I saw that segment and everything, so I do remember that. But Delisha, how did you feel about the whole reveal and how they did the story back up?
The reveal of that was weird because we had earlier that night you had Kurt Angle going around trying to interview people and trying to find out what's going on, and then we get out here and it sounded like Kurt Angle knew who it was, and he was. Or not, I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden, you have Corey Graves with this backstage video camera, and logically, I'm like, how did your GM of this show did not get this video and stuff like that? So it was kind of weird.
And why wait this long too, right? Like it was so stupid. They had the whole Raw to say something. Oh, hey, I had this footage. You waited till they had a whole whole thing backstage, like you're saying. Then they had that little in-ring segment, and at the end of the in-ring segment, then Corey Graves speaks up. Come on.
Yeah, or. I feel like it would have went over better if Kurt Angle was playing Cass to see what he would say. Then be like, all right, buddy, you can stop with the shit. I know what's going on, and then show the footage. But I will say that that segment gave Enzo his best promo work I have seen probably ever. So I was really glad he was able to showcase dude, it's almost like he kind of got the acting chops going on right there. And then last night when he did his little promo, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as last week's, but it was a pretty good promo. And I really would have wished that they would have gave like Enzo some more time. You know, like make him like a true underdog and see him keep fighting back with Cass, but he just couldn't overpower him because Big Cass is so dominant, like you said. So I kind of wish they would have went more with that angle, so they dominated so much.
Yeah, like we didn't even get that spurt of like the underdog coming back. It was just Cass dominating, and we did see the one great spot that I had to say is Enzo takes like the gorilla press slam like no one else does. He just took it right over the top rope. That was great. I mean, Floyd Mayweather took it too from Big Show, so I guess, but Floyd Mayweather was caught by his bodyguards. So, but Enzo just took it to the ground.
Really quickly, does Enzo have a finishing move?
Like, I need them to have a finish. Oh, I guess the big boot, right? Which we saw. That's how the match ended.
No, Enzo, not Cass. Enzo.
No, I'm saying I said do either of them do, but then I said yes. I guess Cass does because we did see him do the big boot and then get the pin and win and beat Enzo. But I don't even know. Like I don't know these guys. Like the most interaction I've had was actually seeing them with you at Wizard World, and that's the most I've pretty much seen of them. Besides like that one time that Enzo got hurt inside the pay-per-view match or whatever that was. Remember?
Yeah.
And then like seeing them in pay-per-views, but like I usually don't pay attention to them. They don't really I remember seeing one match on NXT Brooklyn last year. I think it was him and Cass with Carmella versus somebody. I forgot who it was, but that was a good match. That was the first time I ever saw them, and that was a full match I've seen of them. But other than that, like I just, this whole angle has no interest for me.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
It's like it was, of course, predictable that Enzo will get squashed. Because it's been always been that Enzo's, as a tag team, Enzo was always the one that talked up the big game, and then Big Cass had to come in and basically clean up the mess.
Just like you said.
And then basically it's like the only official finishing move you could say was the rocket launcher where at the end of the match after Cass is coming off of the hot tag, and then he would tag Enzo back in, lift up Enzo, and then launch him onto the prone opponent, and then to which Enzo would pin for the 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
But then other than that, there's like I don't really know of any like you all said. I don't think there's like Enzo has a solid finishing move of his own. Big Cass has the Empire Crossing and the Big Boot. Or East River Crossing, whatever it's called. But then I've also read that apparently, which I kind of almost feel bad for Enzo, but at the same time I see what they're doing, is that basically this was going to be the only match between the two, because now apparently I'm reading like a rumor that Big Cass is going to be looking to challenge Brock Lesnar. Universal title at some point, and then also apparently also the angle they want is basically they want to make Enzo look really weak. He's going to basically keep getting squashed and defeated to basically bring home the point that Enzo is nothing without Big Cass. He can talk a big game, but without Big Cass, he can't back it up.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I feel like that's kind of stupid. And then apparently I hear that they're probably going to reunite at Royal Rumble, and then they'll have a match together at WrestleMania for the titles, maybe. Who knows? But I feel it's, taking away from both their characters in a way. But you know how McMahon loves his big men, so he's going to keep pushing those big guys.
Yeah,
I guess.
Also, it's like if they do end up reuniting as a tag team, I figure like maybe it would be better off to make them a heel tag team, because then you already got it with the trash talking, and then, but also maybe then that would actually allow them to win those elusive tag titles, whichever brand it may be, and also maybe eventually bring Carmella back into the mix.
Right.
Hopefully we're done with this Ellsworth BS soon. So then we can bring Carmella, so we can have the three of them back together. So Enzo can once again say this is Carmella and she's hot as hell and you can't teach that down to the ring. And then also maybe at that time Carmella will have championship gold of her own, so then they could make a pretty decent faction out of the three.
Yeah, I feel like I think they're gonna come back as heels. Like when they reunite, it'll be down the line, and hopefully it's heels, and they'll bring Carmella back in. But speaking of tag teams, because we gotta keep this moving because I know we only have limited time. We can get to the next match, which
I'm sorry, my connection time.
Yeah, I know your connection's going out too. So we the next match, which we were excited. Like I always say, I'm not a fan of the Hardys, but they've always been putting on good matches, and we're like, I know Delisha said like I don't mind seeing this match again, and we did see it again, and we saw it as a 30-minute Iron Man match. So I'll let Delisha take this one over right now because she's a huge Hardy fan. So tell us about this match.
This was pretty good. This was a pretty solid match. Which I wasn't shocked to see because both of these teams put in good work. We see right away Sheamus and Cesaro getting pinned by Cesaro attacking Hardy.
Sheamus hit the brogue kick, I think, from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I know
it was a fake out because Sheamus came out to start the looked like Sheamus was going to come out to start the match, but then like right after the bell rang, Sheamus backed up back to the corner, and Cesaro came out and completely faked out Matt. He got distracted, and then Sheamus came up and brogue kicked him and pinned him for the quick 1-2-3 to give the champs the early advantage.
Yeah, and that was pretty much what we were seeing out the match. They were using, tag team psychology, I would say, keeping the one member away from his partner as much as they can. You see the quick tags going back and forth between Sheamus and Cesaro. And for a while, it was they were like 2-1.
Yeah, then I think they had an assisted white noise on Jeff because they isolated him, so they got up 2-0 from that.
Yeah, and then they just kept working Matt, and even when Jeff did finally get in, they would work him as well, or kick Matt off the apron, and as a good tag team would do, especially in an Iron match, you want to get as many wins as possible or tire out your opponent as much as possible so they can't get into their finishing moves. And then someone was saying something. And then we did see eventually the Hardys get back on track. I think it was Matt who got the first.
They did well. It was a trifecta. They did the poetry in motion followed by a side effect followed by Jeff doing a twist of fate.
Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, and I don't know what that move is called. When Matt, I think he did like I can't remember what he did, and then Jeff would do the whole pinning them not backwards. I really don't know.
Oh, that little that didn't happen yet. First, they got the next. Then they got fought to the outside, and like Sheamus, I think, or Cesaro threw Matt into the ring post and knocked him out outside while Sheamus was still in the ring. So they got counted out. So then there was a 3-1 lead, and then they did that thing with the leg pin. What you're talking about? That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
where
I don't know.
Yeah. So it was a backslide by Matt, and then Jeff used his legs to do that leg pin. They inverted, whatever you want to call that. That made it 3-2.
Which is vintage Jeff Hardy. I'm pretty shocked they didn't say that. Because that is a vintage Jeff Hardy move.
Yeah.
I guess I should do that.
But I don't think he's ever pinned anyone with that ever until then. So
I don't. No, he's done it before. Maybe not in this their new reincarnation on the WWE, but he's done it countless number of times. Maybe in house shows he's pinned people, but he's done that countless number.
I've seen him do it. I've always seen people kick out though. That's the thing.
Okay. All right. I'll let me get the pinfall. Yeah. But yeah, and then was that when they go 3-2 or 3-3?
3-2, and then Matt Hardy hit a twist of fate off the top rope kind of thing to get the 3-3 tie.
Yeah, and then I know me and you were going back and forth like, hope this is not going to end in a draw or we have to
overtime. Yeah, but they said during the match no overtime.
I was so sure it was going to go to sudden death.
But then Corey Graves said that, or whoever it was said that there's no sudden death. If you don't beat them by the end of the match,
that's right.
The tag team champions hold on to the titles, which is, I think, it's better because that overtime sudden death thing is too cliche. I know they're calling it sudden death because, when there's like a minute left, pretty much the next person who gets a pin will most likely win the match, and that's what they're calling that part sudden death. Yeah. But they weren't going to go into sudden death after the time expired.
Yeah,
Brett and I
just like the back and forth, like close pinfall between both teams, and each of them they're either kicking out or their teammate trying to get that breaking it up, and then
Cesaro broke up a few of them, right? Because they had that double splash and all that, and it was great. Like Cesaro came in like the perfect time, breaking up several at the end.
He's a clutch player for sure.
And then so we finally saw I think Cesaro made a blind tag, which Jeff didn't see, and Jeff went for the swanton onto Sheamus, and Sheamus, you couldn't pin Sheamus, and then Cesaro rolled up Jeff and got the pin to put him up 4-3, 29 seconds left. And then I was telling you before, I was like, when it was like 10 minutes left, I was like, Delisha, Cesaro should just run out of that ring and run around circles until 9 and then come back in and then run around. I'm like, that'll be the most annoying and worst match ever, but hey, that works, right? But he did that the last 29 seconds. He tried doing that. And then they got, he hit the twist of fate and got the 1-2, but the time expired before the third hand can come down. So the Sheamus and Cesaro won 4-3 to retain. What did you think of the match, Eric? Overall,
I thought the match itself pretty entertaining. I thought the match was pretty entertaining. I don't love the Hardys as much as Dell does, but I do like them. I've always been entertained by them, and I thought overall it was a good, solid, entertaining match. It was actually one of my favorites of the night, to be honest. And the ending, with the 1 second left was a little kind of cliche, I guess.
That was cliche.
Yeah, but overall, I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Hardys. I don't like them, but they always put on a good show. I have to get to Dell. She's right. They always put on a good show. And we've been saying, what kind of division can we have in the tag team division for Raw? And we can't. I feel like it's just these two tag teams, right? You got Sheamus and so I wouldn't mind seeing it again, but how many times are we going to see it? I mean, they've always put on good matches. They've always put on the good matches. Every fight they've had, they've put on great matches. So I don't mind seeing it again, but I kind of want to see something new, but I don't know what else we could see because I don't feel like there's no other good tag teams really.
Yeah, yep. I mean, right now they're really it. You hit it right on. They're the two tag teams that I think we're just going to keep seeing for a while until they got to get some more guys together. Maybe put two random guys together who can make it work because right now that's what they have.
Yeah, again, I find myself having trouble trying to figure out who is a tag team on Raw, because either one, we don't see them enough, or they're just so I don't know. They don't have a story behind them to make them memorable. I think Rhino and Zack Ryder.
No, Rhino and Slater.
Those ever since ever since Slater cut his hair, I keep getting him and Zack Ryder mixed up, which is so bad. I'm sorry, Zack Ryder. I'm sorry, Heath Slater.
Well, I think the worst part about this is that they just broke up Enzo and Cass, who are the only other legitimate tag team, and they're faces, and our champions currently are heels. How are you going to break up the only legitimate tag team when you need another tag team?
Well, there's Rhino and Slater that are technically a face tag team, but
all right, but
how often do you actually see them? I mean, you've been seeing them a little more lately, but probably because there's not much else there. But I mean, you got but other than that, the only other tag team that I can really think of that are on the Raw roster are both currently, I guess you would say they're heels, unless one of them is an Anderson and Gallows, aka the Club. I mean, they could be on the verge of a face turn, but who knows? And then you also have the Revival, which is a tag team that deserves more of an opportunity, but right now they're kind of injuries kind of squandered things for them. And also, although I'm kind of hoping that maybe they will eventually that they'll have a storyline soon between the Revival and the Hardys, just because of the fact that it would make so much sense how the Hardys are all about the flippy high intensity stuff, and the Revival are all just fists, no flips. But then it's who do you bring up against Sheamus and who do you bring up to challenge Sheamus and Cesaro? I mean, I guess you could say there's another tag team out there, but it's also a heel, the Miz Taraj. But then again, it's you figure these guys are just going to basically be male valets for the Miz and do the Miz's dirty work.
You know what? But where does it say that a heel has to fight a face, right? I know that's what you like to see, or that's the stereotypical thing that you got to have. But you could have heels fight heels, right? Because obviously the crowd's gonna probably cheer for one group, even if they're heels. The fans cheer for heels too. So we could see heels versus heels, because if we see you were saying the Revival or the Bullet Club versus Sheamus and Cesaro, I think the fans would probably take Sheamus and Cesaro over the Revival, possibly. You know, cheer for them. But when it comes to Bullet Club and them, it might be a wash. People love the Bullet Club. Like, well, real marks and stuff love the Bullet Club. So I don't know. Like, we can see anything, I feel. But I just feel like the best matches we're getting are from the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro.
Look, I have a little quick suggestion. I don't know how much this could pay off, but and I'm no Adam Blampier of how WWE should book. But I was thinking maybe maybe tonight or maybe next week or whatever. Like we get the Hardys or either Sheamus and Cesaro doing some sort of promo or whatever, and then you have either like another couple more tag teams coming out saying we should get a shot or whatever because Hardys had all these X, Y, and Z chances, and then you get Kurt Angle thing coming up like, you know what, you guys are right. We have Hardys getting a lot of chances, but we not other teams are quite up there yet. But how about this? We do like a little tag team tournament, and then at SummerSlam,
they are having a tag. That's what I was just about to say to you. That they're having a tag team tournament.
Whoever wins that gets a chance at get the title, and then maybe bring up one or two teams from NXT, and then you can have the Miz Taraj get in that tournament, and then maybe one or two from the Cruiserweight division, just because they are a raw quote unquote product or whatever. And then that way you get some more people on television. You can either break out some more storylines from that to go on further down the line. And then also we get to see more tag teams, and you also could get a more crowd reaction to see how some of these tag teams are getting over with the crowd. Just because right now we're not seeing them on live television. We may see them in house shows, but we're not seeing them on the live show. And this might just give them some more exposure so that you can gauge that crowd reaction, see if they're worth giving a story to later on down the line to build them up or something like that.
The WWE did announce a tag team tournament they're having, much like the Dusty Rhodes Classic that they had. They're doing that again. So I'm guessing we're going to see like the NXT tag teams and all that. I don't know where the winners will go towards, like which championship they'll fight for, but they're having it. So we'll see that. And another thing I was thinking of, the Titus brand, they could make that as a tag team, right? You have the one big dude, and then you have the one cruiserweight kind of guy, so we can do that too. So, but
that would be cool. I would like to see that.
Because then that'd be cool. Like
hearing that sounds cool.
And they could, they could promote it like, how, I don't know if you guys follow basketball, but you saw last week, LeVar Ball was on, or 2 weeks ago, so LeVar Ball was on Raw, and he was promoting his sons and all that. So Titus brand could be like the same thing, where you have like one like arrogant, cocky like manager that's promoting his guys, like, oh look, we have all the gold, like we have the tag team gold, like so they can win the tag team gold, and they can have the cruiserweight gold kind of thing, and then it'd be like an Intercontinental Championship also, like so they kind of get all the gold, and then they people want to join that Titus brand kind of thing. And I can see that going somewhere.
Yeah. Do you remember the Colossal Connection?
Who's that?
Where you had Andre and you had Haku.
Oh yeah, and then like Bobby the Brain was their manager.
Yes, I thought they were a good team because they were so different. I thought that worked very, very well. So yeah, I could totally be down for something like that.
So moving along for what happened to be probably the most important match in WWE history, I think. It was the women's championship match, Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. Champion was Alexa Bliss. And the reason why it was the most important match in WWE history is because it was for the spot to be the #1 WWE wife for me. Because I know I've been going back and forth. Like Sasha Banks has always been my girl, but then like now that she's married, I'm like, oh man, like what am I gonna do? And then like Dee and I saw Alexa Bliss at which I always loved Alexa Bliss before this, but like seeing her in person and how sweet she was, like she broke character and all that, but she was so sweet and nice. Like I still have her water to this day. It's in my display case. I was like, oh man, like now Alexa Bliss is working her way up. She might become my new #1 wife. And now that they're fighting each other, I'm like, oh, this has an extra stipulation put onto it. But then I was like, wait, if it happens and like to a count out or something, what happens? Because do I stay with who has the belt or who won the match? I don't know. So I'm like, I'll just go with whoever leads with the title. That would be the smart thing to say. Because that's like, not only do they have the title in their hands, the title that they own is the #1 WWE wife of mine. So that's how it worked out in my heart. So I was so disappointed. I mean, not the outcome, just the match. The match. The match. They could have so much more.
For me, it fell a little flat because this was when I was looking at the card. This was maybe the #2 match I was looking forward to, and it did fall a little flat. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't terrible by any means.
So talk about the match, Eric. How'd you feel? Walk us through the match.
It didn't have the kind of energy that I thought it was going to have. I think they're both great workers. I think they know how to take shots well. I think they're both have charisma. They both have tremendous charisma. But when they were fighting, I was like, something is just not clicking like I thought it was going to in the match. And then at the end, it ended kind of how I kind of predicted it was kind of going to end in my mind. But when it was over, it was like, it was okay. They put on a pretty decent show, but I thought it could have been much better.
I mean, like, I think they did what they should have done. Like, Alexa threw, like, she used underhand tactics. She threw a hissy fit or a bliss fit or whatever you want to call it. She did her twisted bliss. You know, Sasha did, like, her bang statement and all that. Like, it was all, like, well done. I just didn't feel a spark, like you were saying. Like, I didn't feel that, like, attraction to that match, you know?
When she was leaving with the belt to just, like, take the count out, it reminded me back of the Money Inc. days. Remember how they would always leave? Yep. It kind of reminded me of that. It was like having flashbacks. I was like, oh, don't leave. Come
on. Dee, I know you're a big
fan
of both of them. So how did you feel? Did you feel left down? Or what?
For me, like, I saw this on Twitter as well. It's like almost the worst thing about Alexa Bliss matches that they're always 5 or 10 minutes. They always feel 5 or 10 minutes too short. Like, you want to see them go on a little bit longer. And I think the best takeaway from me at this match is that this is almost like peak Bliss heel. Like, I thought that she was just amazing to just be able to be her, do her heel work, and just get that heel heat from the crowd. And when she pulled that, twisted arm or broken arm or whatever you want to call it on Sasha, and, like, everyone's like, oh, my gosh, is she okay? Is she okay? And she just, like, twists his back and just, like, elbows her in the face. I was like, Alexa is just great. Right now, she can almost do no wrong. And the ending of the match was a little underwhelming for me, but it fits the character of Bliss of being, she's going to hang on to that title as by any means necessary. And then I'm glad that Sasha did get a little bit of her revenge at the end after the match. So
that bump at the end, man, a double knee to Alexa Bliss. I think she really got hurt because I think her head hit the back of the concrete. That's why she kind of kicked Sasha Banks away at the end because, like, I think she really might have got hurt.
I think most of her body was on the little carpet that they had on there.
Yeah,
I think her head did catch a little bit of that concrete.
And the one thing I was gonna say though is I feel I can forgive this match because they want to save the punch, like the huge shock value of the match for SummerSlam because they're gonna have the rematch. It's probably gonna be at I can almost guarantee it's gonna be at SummerSlam. That's where they want to save the huge shock value, the huge bumps. Besides that end bump off the announcer table after the match, all the amazing stuff. I feel like it's gonna be like put this match to shame. They didn't want to waste it on this pay-per-view. They're gonna save it for SummerSlam. That's what I'm saying.
It was kind of like, yeah, I agree with you.
It was like a house show. I feel like this was the house show. This is the house show that prepares them for the big night, which is SummerSlam.
I totally agree with that. I think they're going to save it for SummerSlam, and SummerSlam will have the energy, and it will have the bumps, and it will have all of that I kind of was expecting in this match itself. But I totally think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I was kind of. I mean, the match itself wasn't bad. It was pretty good. I mean, both of them worked fairly well together. I mean, it wasn't the best match of the night, definitely. I mean, look at what it had to follow. But then at the same time, I have to say I was kind of like I wasn't surprised because I kind of expected the kind of the ending of like because I had that feeling that Sasha was going to technically win the match, but Bliss was still going to keep the title because she was either going to get counted out or disqualified. But now that like pretty much that also kind of tells me that the next match that they have, which I guess maybe it'll be, I mean, we're still like 6 or 7 weeks, whatever, from SummerSlam. So I'm figuring maybe there'll be another match on Raw in the coming weeks. And then I'm figuring that at least the next match at SummerSlam is going to have some sort of stipulation involved. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a title can change on a count out stipulation, or hopefully something better than that. I mean, it's like I feel like a no DQ match would just be like is just too cliche. It's been done. It's done so many times. It's
No, I think I like where you're going. I think what's gonna happen, like what you're saying, is like so far she already used the count out. I think she's gonna use another tactic to hold on to the belt again, so that the match at SummerSlam, like exactly what you're saying, is like either a disqualification or count out will cause the title to change hands. So she'll have no excuse but to win by submission or pinfall. So that's the only way she can hold on to the thing. I think that's gonna happen. That's a good call by you.
And I'm also like feeling like we're still kind of that a lot of people are still waiting for that Sasha Banks heel turn. Which I feel, and I kind of feel like right now she'll win the title at SummerSlam, and then sometime after SummerSlam, she'll turn on Bayley, and basically that'll be her heel turn, and then Bayley will be chasing after the heel
until WrestleMania.
I would personally love to see that.
That we're gonna see that.
I would love to see it.
All right. So,
make it exciting.
The moral of that story is that Alexa Bliss walked away with the #1 WWE wife for me. That title is what matters more. That's probably going to go into the WWE website and all that, so keep your eyes out for that. The next match was the Intercontinental title, which was the Miz come out with Maurice and his Miztourage, which I had no idea who they were. I had to ask Alicia who they were. And against Dean Ambrose. So, like I was telling Delisha, I feel like Dean Ambrose is getting stale now. I feel like he needs a character change or something. It's just so boring to watch him. I mean, he's a great worker, and he's good on the mic, but I just feel like it's the same thing over and over. I feel like he needs something different. Like maybe he needs to get into a stable again or something, but I feel like it's just so annoying now. Like I just don't care to see him anymore. It was basically a handicap match the whole time. Anyway, it was, and like I love the Miz. The Miz has like the great matches. He has great promos. He always has the best setup for all matches and stuff. So it's always good to see the Miz and Maurice together. And now they have the Miztourage. It was basically a 3-on-1 match the whole time, where Ambrose was fighting from behind, trying to, whenever he got a head or leg up in the competition, like one of the Miztourage would jump in or Maurice would interfere or something would happen. Like he would never get completely over. He was put in a tree of woe and like kept getting leg drops to the knee. Drop kicks to the knees, which was cool. We put in the figure for a leg lock, and he just couldn't get ahead. And until finally, I think he finally got hit the dirty deeds, right? But we had the great part where Maurice put the Miz's leg on the rope to stop the pin, and then the Miztourage came in again. It was just one too many times that he couldn't fend him off, and he got put into a skull crushing finale. And Miz got the win and retained his title. So, like, what did you guys think? Like, how do you feel about Ambrose, where he's going, and like the Miz and the match overall? But I want to hear your thoughts on Ambrose mostly. And like, I have nothing bad to say about the Miz. I think the Miz is great. I think whoever you put him against him, he always makes him look good, regardless in the feud or whatever. But how do you guys feel about Ambrose and how this match went?
It was all right. Again, like I think I told you before, like Ambrose is getting kind of, like I said, it's getting kind of stale. I mean, like, how many times can we see Ambrose be wacky Ambrose or whatever? Or at least it's time to put them both against different opponents. I'm tired of seeing back and forth. It's so played out for me because it doesn't really further anything for this feud. So I'm just ready for both of them to move on to different opponents.
And if you know what you just said, wait, one second. I was gonna say what Alicia just said.
It's like same old, and as you said, the Miz. But I'll give him his props. He is entertaining. There's no doubt about it. But this, for me, was almost dozing off.
Did he freeze?
I think so.
So what I was saying was, like you said, like you want to see some new matches, but they just had the Superstar Shakeup, so we shouldn't be seeing these same matches again, and we are, which sucks. That's what I don't like about it. Oh wait, I think there's Erica's back.
Oh.
Eric. No, we can kind of hear you. Yeah, we can't see you though, or hear you. We kind of hear you.
Should I call back in?
Try calling back in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we just had that Superstar Shakeup, so why are we seeing the same matches? Like, didn't we just see this on SmackDown as well? Like, that's what I feel like. Like I feel like it's just following. Like, it's just a different title they're fighting for now. So you're right. Like, it's getting like we're seeing the same thing. All right, is that
basically the same title now because they were feuding over the Intercontinental title on SmackDown Live, and now then they come over to Raw and they end up feuding and they kind of like separated from one another for a bit, but now they come back together on Raw,
Do my
they're feuding
turn
for
my
the
phone off again. Does that work well?
All right, go ahead, Eric. Oh wait, did we lose him again?
Oh man.
I think we lost him again.
But I will say that Dean Ambrose is definitely his current character. It's definitely like kind of outlasted its usefulness.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely he definitely needs a character change. I mean, even the most obvious one will be at least at the very least the heel turn, because the rumor I've heard in the pipeline is that he's going to have another rivalry with Seth Rollins. Only this time it's going to be Ambrose the heel and Rollins the babyface. Although, I mean, it would be nice if he got the Intercontinental title so then they could feud over that. But even if they were feuding over but I mean, of course, a Rollins Ambrose feud is going to be highly entertaining. I just feel like I'm just hoping that we soon wrap up Miz and Ambrose, so then we can move both of them on to other challengers. Especially the fact that I still think maybe there could be more to the Heath Slater Miz rivalry, although it's like obviously Heath Slater is not put up into a high degree, and then but also the fact that maybe we could see the Titus brand could push Apollo Crews to challenge the Miz for the Intercontinental title, and that could be a good rivalry, especially since Titus is getting very good on the mic, so we could have good mic work between the Miz and Titus O'Neil. And then you have Apollo challenging for the title, but then that would give it something fresh, something new, something we haven't seen.
Right. So I feel like I don't want to see Ambrose with the title because I feel Miz brings legitimacy back to the title. Like he's like that guy from back in the day, like the Honky Tonk Man when he had the IC championship. Like those class of superstars that used to see that like brought legitimacy to the title. He's like that kind of guy. So I want to see Miz hold the title, and just like you said, like it'd be cool to see the Apollo brand the Titus brand go after him, and Apollo Crews maybe win the title from him after several matches. Because I want to see the Titus brand get those championships, like I was saying earlier. That would be cool to see. I think Eric is back. Eric, you back now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. What are you saying
we're back.
about Ambrose?
I can't wait to upgrade my phone in the fall.
So what are you saying about Ambrose? Because we didn't get any of that.
I'm just tired of seeing the same stuff. I mean, like you said, the Miz, even though he does it, he annoys me sometimes. He makes matches entertaining. He is a great worker. Great performer, I will give him his due, but I want to see different stuff. This probably was my least favorite match, I would say, of the night. Wasn't like horrible, but it was just same old. Okay, we get it. We get the point.
All right, so then the next match was probably the match I was talking to Delisha about, saying probably has the most potential, one of the most potential, but I was afraid it would be a letdown because when you see ambulance matches, all you see is like one big blow and a guy's laid out, and then they got to pick the guy up and carry him to the ambulance, and halfway to the thing the guy will like get back in and then like do 3 more moves, and then they'll get knocked out again and try to carry him. That's what it always seems like, and that's what it kind of was. We had some big spots with some chair shots, some ring step involvement, and some big slams, but other than that, like that's what we saw. It was like Braun putting Roman on his shoulders to carry him out. I don't know. I mean, like it was an entertaining match. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it didn't live up to like the ultimate potential we could have seen from 2 great working superstars.
Yeah, they're capable of better, in my opinion. It wasn't bad, but they both have the talent to be outstanding, I think. And it was fine, but not up to their potential for me.
Yeah, I felt about the same way. It wasn't really a match I was like, on gear to while I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, oh my goodness, I love this match or anything like that. I was kind of like on my phone and stuff, like doing other things. But it was okay. It was okay to add some great spots. Room chair on it, to Braun's, injured arm and off the turn with the ring post. Can't get the word out. Sorry. And then the fighting behind on the ramp, and then pushing him through was that a screen?
Yeah, the LED screens.
Yeah, okay. And then again, of course, at the ending when with the very, very ending of Roman backing an ambulance. Well, of course, okay, Braun won, but Roman getting his revenge and backing the ambulance into a semi truck was another situation where again it's hard to explain to a non-wrestling fan on why this is okay in WWE
Yeah.
and not in real life, because that is typically what, like, manslaughter or something
Well,
like
if you kill him, yeah, no, it's a vehicle
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, yeah. Well, for people who don't know, the way an ambulance match works is you got to carry your opponent and throw him back into the back of an ambulance and shut both doors. That's how you win an ambulance match. So yeah, we saw a lot of hard shots, some good bumps on the steel steps and on the ramp as well, and then Braun Strowman through the LED screens, like Delisha said. But other than that, we really didn't see anything good. It was just the same, like, laying down, trying to get the guy in, and then basically Braun was like hit with a Superman punch by the the back doors of the ambulance. He was staggered, so Roman Reigns went for his finisher spear, but Braun sidestepped it. Roman fell right into the ambulance. Both doors are closed. Braun wins the match. I was really hoping to see something spectacular, like during the match, but we really didn't see that. Besides the throw through the LED screens, but that wasn't even as good because when I saw that, I'm like, I knew that was going to happen, and it wasn't as spectacular as what we saw in King of the Ring back in like '98 or something. It was when Angle suplexed Shane McMahon through through those glass panes, just like how we saw on the rampway. And not only did it do it like once, it didn't break, so he did it again and put him through it. Then he did the same thing to go back from inside the thing back out through another one. So, and he did it twice too. So like that was so much more spectacular than seeing two big guys who could easily take out that OLED screen. So I wasn't really excited about that. That was probably supposed to be the big spot, and I wasn't of the match, I should say. Then we should talk about what happened after the match. Yes, but
after the match annoyed me. I was getting so like,
we
can't move it along. We get it, and I just wanted to come out of the ambulance. I'm like, we get it, and I was getting so pissed. I even posted on Twitter. I'm like, come on, WWE. I was like, come on.
Yeah, I saw that thing. We can't get to the after the match yet because we did have another match in between this, which I'd like to call the greatest buffer match of all time, to be defined as a buffer match, because we didn't even see the match. It was like a dark match at a pay-per-view. When the pay-per-view officially has started, we had a dark match, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't even know this was happening, and I guess neither did those people who were in the match involved. We had Kurt Hawkins versus Heath Slater, and we didn't even see the match. This was the greatest defined buffer match of all time because we didn't see it, and it was a dark match with Kurt Hawkins and Heath Slater. Why did we not see it? Because the WWE cameras cut to the back of what was happening at post Braun Strowman Roman Reigns match, and not to mention while that match was going on, because apparently it was going on. After the match ended, we saw a back like a photo of the fans take a picture of Heath Slater actually watching what was going on, because he had no idea like he's supposed to be out there. He was watching the big screen of what was going on. So during the greatest dark match or buffer match of all time, which is I can call it dark match, we saw what Alicia mentioned earlier. We saw Roman Reigns get out of the ambulance, throw Braun Strowman in, drive to the parking garage, and then back into a semi truck, the back rig, the rear rig of the semi truck, thus possibly killing somebody in real life. But since this is wrestling, it's okay. There's no lawsuits involved. Kurt Angle runs out. I think Jamie Noble runs out. And then they call for where were they yesterday? Texas or something? Where were they? Texas, I think. Yeah, Texas. Fort Worth, Texas. Fort Worth, Texas, I think.
They were in Dallas, not Fort Worth.
Oh, Dallas. Yeah, okay. So they called for the EMS and fire, and the fire, they take it, open it with jaws of life. They get him out. They get Braun Strowman out. They want to get him on the gurney, but he falls to the ground, bloody and battered. But he gets up on his own volition and walks out. So like, it showed how strong Braun Strowman could be. Like that was the good part of that, And like now, what's going on with Reigns? Like that was kind of cool to see an edgier Reigns. That was cool. So I'm interested to see where I was more interested in the post match than I was with the actual match, because I want to see where both characters go from here. Like I always say that, but like it was cool to see an edgier Roman Reigns. Is he going heel now? And Braun Strowman, like it shows how much of a beast he is. And now we're probably going to see that match against Brock Lesnar, because they're trying to build him up as a strong, indomitable force.
Yeah, a lot of questions coming out of the match is like, did we just see a double turn? Like, did we see Braun turn face and Reigns go heel? I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, WWE it just seems so protective of keeping Roman face or tweener that I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, no, he's not a heel, he's still a good guy.
I will say this: the look in Reigns' eyes was scary. I was getting scared by him when he was behind the wheel.
Yeah,
I got to be honest.
So I mean, but back to what we were actually talking about was Heath Slater won the match. I
mean, just WWE didn't care, so why should we?
Yeah, it was a match that nobody cared about. I mean, everybody was. I mean, first they had like the split screen, and then you hear the siren, and everybody in the arena turns their attention to the Braun, and then it's like, and then like from that moment they just go to the full screen of what's going on in the backstage area. So now they're like in the back area. So now of course everybody's looking intently like that, and also like a little thing I noticed is the past 2 weeks, like it started at the Royal in Los Angeles, and then it was at the Royal last week in Phoenix, and now at the pay-per-view last night in Dallas. It looked like it was the same ambulance all 3 times. But it looked like as though WWE had actually bought the ambulance for the intention of using it for the promos and the actual match. Because usually most times when you have any kind of like ambulance stipulation, it's a different ambulance in each venue because each venue uses a different contract.
The local EMS.
EMS. So now the fact that you actually had the same ambulance in all 3 places pretty much told me that they're probably going to destroy the thing in the match, but it wasn't the match that it got destroyed in. It was the after the match when it was backed into one of the trailers in the backstage area. So I mean, I was like,
yeah, that's a good catch.
But I was surprised at that. I was surprised that they actually that everything happened that transpired backstage. But at the same time, then again, it's like you should never be surprised when WWE decides to throw you a curveball and like. Yeah.
I think the last time we saw that was with Kane, right? Kane was in the back of an ambulance and they crashed into something, and that's what happened. But like what you're saying, if it was true that it was the same ambulance, which is a really good catch, I would have liked to see a cooler way to end the match. Like you said you figured it'd be destroyed, right? So instead of having it, I mean, that's cool what they did, but I think it would have been cooler to end the match with like Braun Strowman sending Roman Reigns through the top of an ambulance, and like I guess that has to end the match, right? Because like he's in the ambulance, and if both doors are already closed from the back, that would have been a cool way to end the match, I think, in my opinion. But and what we were saying about they had to put those people out because they weren't going to send out Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar during that because people would want to see what's going on in the back. So they're obviously not going to use their main event to because they're going to have this diversion during the whole match. So that's why they sent out that little the greatest dark match of all time.
I just felt that if they were just going to cut back to the ambulance, like basically 2 minutes later, why not just have the ambulance going, like reacting to what they just saw in that match, and then go, oh, we're getting word in the back, X, Y, and Z. There you go, and then cut to that. It just that match didn't make any sense because they didn't care, audience didn't care, and neither did the viewers at home.
Or they could have had it as like a, how they have the pay-per-view of the after show on the pay-per-view. They could have had like a recorded video saying, "Here's the footage we captured during the pay-per-view, like while the main event was going on. This was what was going on in the back. EMS rushed to the thing, fire rushed to the thing, and it helped. But I guess they had to do it that way. It was fast. It didn't take up too much time, and I'm sure there's some people who watched the actual Heath Slater versus Kurt Hawkins match. I guess, or whoever that was. Was it Kurt Hawkins? I don't even know anymore. Yeah, Kurt Hawkins match. Yeah. Well, so that brought us to the main event, which was the Universal Championship with the champ Brock Lesnar going against Samoa Joe. And like I said, this match had a lot of potential as well, but we just saw like one move done 3 times in a row, like 3 times over and over with a little suplex in between maybe. So basically, Joe came out, attacked Lesnar prior to the match, put him in a coquina clutch. Brock countered out of it with 2 suplexes, but then Joe did a low blow, put him back in the coquina clutch, which Brock countered again with a sidewalk slam. Then Joe got him into the coquina clutch for a 3rd time, but Brock Lesnar just put him into an F5 and got the win on his first F5. Like, it was so disappointing because these guys are both like have MMA training and stuff that they could have put on I don't want to use that excellent match, but we're so let down in that match.
Yeah, this was the match I was probably most disappointed by because I thought going in when I looked at they can, like as you said, they can put on the show, these two. And it was a show of sorts, but not the kind of show I find entertaining, and I thought it was a total letdown.
I think the one takeaway that I love about this match that it didn't end in 5 seconds. I really thought they were gonna either go like Samoa Joe going to winning, because they kept being so dominant, or or have Brock Lesnar like suplex him like 15 different times and didn't be over and done. I will say I'm glad that we did get a little bit more than like a 5-second match, but again, the ending was very underwhelming. One like Brock got to get all these counters out, and then Samoa gets one F5 and he's out and done. And I'm just like, you just showed him destroy people for the last couple of weeks, and then this is what we get. It didn't do it for me, and I want to see more, but I don't think we're gonna get it because it kind of wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, this was like a filler match because we were supposed to see Strowman versus Brock at this, but we didn't because the Strowman got hurt. That's why they threw in Samoa Joe, and then I feel like they let us down. But I have a question for Joe now. So here's the question I have. We're running over time already. And I know it's on the WA network, so they're not really on any time constraint because it's not like the pay-per-view where it had to be 3 hours back in the day because they're on a cable network. Now they have their own network, so they can go as long as they want. But do you think the time was cut short for this match because like it was so already over already, like the time-wise over? Or do you think this is how the match was supposed to turn out anyway?
I kind of feel like I was happy that the match was as long as it was because of the rumors I heard that it was going to be that basically was going to be a fairly quick squash match for like in favor of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was going to basically be dominant the whole time. Maybe Samoa Joe gets 1 or 2 bouts of action before he succumbs to the pain. But I feel like the match, I mean, it could have gone on a little bit longer because we could have at least had maybe had Samoa Joe kick out of that first F5 and then maybe like forcing Lesnar to go back to like kind of like go into think of how he can possibly put him away, and then maybe you see Samoa Joe go for the muscle buster only to be countered into a second F5, and then maybe that could be the ending, or maybe it could have been that second F5. Brock hits that second F5 and then he decides he's not done yet, so he picks him back up and hits the third F5 and then gets the 1, 2, 3.
I would have liked to see him do a second F5, but when he lands a second F5, because you know how he goes like this and then he puts his arm out and puts him down like that? While he does that, the other guy's arm's right here, he should turn it into a Kimura. So right when he hits the second F5, turn it right into a Kimura and make Joe tap or just pass out from the – don't even make him tap, just make him pass out from the pain from both the F5 and the Kimura. I think that would have been a better ending.
Yeah, I kind of like figure because especially since the Kimura is similar to the Coquina clutch or rear naked choke that Samoa Joe uses. So it's pretty much so they're both similar moves. So it's kind of like, so you figure that each of them would know a counter to get out of it. So,
but I feel if you hit a F5 first, you're kind of like dazing him. That way you put him into. That's why I would like to see it end that way.
Yeah, that would have probably been a better ending. I mean, I felt like the match was better than I expected because like I previously said, I kind of had the feeling that it was going to be a one way squash mostly, but at least but in the end, both stars came out looking strong because, of course, Brock Lesnar retained the title, so you figure he's going to hold it at least until SummerSlam, probably maybe even longer. And now now also you had Samoa Joe going out still looking fairly strong, even though he took the loss. So now you figure that they definitely have something planned for Samoa Joe. Maybe he'll be in the maybe if there's a multi-person battle for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam, he'll be involved in that. Or maybe he's going to be involved with some other top superstar on the top base superstar. So I mean, it seems like it's possible the sky's the limit for Samoa Joe. And of course, then there's like so many names that are being thrown around to face Brock Lesnar, including now Big Cass, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, etc., etc. So you got all these names that they have lined up for possibly face Lesnar. So I'd say like both superstars come out of it looking good, and I mean the match could have been better, but it was better than expected.
So I know Eric's got to go since we're wrapping up, but Eric, the way we usually wrap up is so the way we usually have it is we talk about your low point of the night, the high point, and then your overall grade A through F.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go first because I know you got to go soon.
I would give it a B minus. I'd go B minus.
I thought it was supposed to give your low point, your high point, and then your grade. He goes straight to the thing.
I would give it a B minus.
So what was your low point though of the match of the night?
I would have to say the Sasha match, not being as spectacular as I thought it was going to be.
And then your high point?
High point. Let me see what I love the most. I actually liked the Hardy match more than, and then saying that this is the opposite. The Hardy match I liked more than I thought it was going to be, even though I knew it was going to be entertaining. Because like I said, the Hardys are entertaining, great workers. But it was a little more entertaining than I expected. And
then you gave it a B minus overall?
B minus overall.
All right. So before you go, where can we see you? Because I know you just released a new content for Game of Thrones, right? So what else have you been doing before you go?
So
and where can we find you?
Absolutely. So I just shot my little mini recap of season 6. My show is called Minus the Fury, where I talk about Game of Thrones. I just did episode 1. It's on my YouTube. You can catch me on Twitter at mmkoch200. That's Koch. And let me know what you think.
And then we'll probably see you tomorrow night, right?
I'll definitely be appearing on your show.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll definitely be appearing on your show. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So thanks for joining us, Eric. And I'm going to go to Delisha now. And Delisha, what was your low point, then your high point, and then your grade?
I think a low point for me might have been that Miz Ambrose match, just because, man, I'm just tired of seeing them two in a match almost either every week or every the last couple pay-per-views, and it just doesn't seem to go anywhere. And I would like them to stop unless we get something fresh going on with that. High point for me, it's probably the Hardy match. That was the one I had more investment in. I was more excited to see Sasha and Alexa, but it didn't pan out like I really wanted to. I mean, the match didn't do it for me like I wanted to. Like I said, it could have gone 5 or 10 minutes longer. So I think that Hardy Cesaro Sheamus match probably the high point for me. And grade, I'm kind of between a B minus and C plus type of grade, because the pay-per-view wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It was just like, I enjoyed, now that I think of all the matches, I enjoyed most of them, but some of them just didn't, pan out, and not knowing where superstars are going forward for this. So I give it that B minus C plus range.
All right, let's get Joe's low point, high point, and then grade. Then we'll get where we can see Delisha right after we get that from Joe.
I'd say definitely the low point. I kind of agree with Delisha, the Intercontinental Championship match. I mean, I was going to give the low point to the Buffer match, but at the same time, since we didn't really get to see most of it, how can I really grade something that we didn't really get to see? So I would say that Intercontinental Championship match, because we just seen the Miz and Ambrose so many times recently, and it's gotten old, and it's getting the Ambrose character is really starting to get stale and past its useful life. High point for me, definitely the tag team Iron Man match, the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. I mean, because once again, the match flowed very well. Pretty much most of it was dominated by the champions, but you did get some action from the Hardys, and you also got like a glimpse teaser of broken Matt Hardy and how he was like hitting with banging the head on each turnbuckle, and then him bleeding in the face. So it kind of gives you the premonition that maybe the broken gimmick is coming over. But once again, there's still all the legal battles between Anthem and the Hardys as to who actually owns that gimmick. So, but definitely that was definitely the highest point. Overall grade, I would have to agree, definitely around a B minus. It was a good pay-per-view. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. I mean, it definitely wasn't going to get an A grade just because of the name Great Balls of Fire. Because it's just like, I mean, how can you really be serious if you're giving it a name of a 60-year-old song? I mean, it's a great song and all, but that name just doesn't translate to the whole pay-per-view. But it's definitely a B-. It was most of the action flowed fairly well, except for like a few matches, and then you had the dark buffer match, so as you called it, just because we didn't really get to see it. It was just everybody was just more paying attention to what's going on in the back. I mean, I will say of course the end, and the ending of the Strowman Reigns match was pretty much was not what I expected, but it turned out good in that it made it that it's still making Braun look like a strong monster and that he can pretty much survive anything now. But it was a good show.
All right, Delisha, where can we find you before we sign out?
Yeah, you can find me at Delisha_Renee, DELISHARRENEE with the underscore in between on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can find me writing articles for Odd Shape Panel. You can also find me on the Odd Shape Panel channel on YouTube every other Monday, talking pop culture events going on in the world.
And we will see you tomorrow too, probably, right?
Yeah, I will be calling in.
And Del, I heard you're on Dan's Lab. I can't wait to watch it tonight.
Yeah, you can find me calling into the last Dan's Lab show on Screen Jump Music if you're interested.
So for me, I'd say the low point was actually the main event because we only saw like 5 moves total, I think, in the main event. And I feel like I had such high expectations for that match, so like I felt so the Brock Lesnar Samoa Joe match was my low point. My high point was probably going 4-for-4, the Matt Hardy the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro, because they put on great matches, and it was good to see like more than one fall in a match. Being an Iron Man match, I was kind of upset that I'm like, oh, now I got to see 30 minutes of the Hardys, but hey, it was a good 30 minutes. So because we got Sheamus and Cesaro out of that too, so that was my high point. My grade for the thing, unlike you guys, I felt like it was super generous. For me, is a D, like Delisha. I thought it was a terrible pay-per-view. Probably one of the worst that we've had so far since we started this show. So I give it a D. And I feel like they dropped the ball with this. Not only did they drop the ball, they dropped the great balls of fire. So that's how I felt about it. You can catch me on Twitter at VarenJadejaVu, also at Night's Watch Tube, and at After_Matt. And tomorrow I'll be doing a show called The Night's Watch. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you'll see Eric calling in there. You'll see Delisha calling in there. We're going to be recapping season 6. So that this is the premiere of Night's Watch for this season, and it's going to be recapping season 6 with my co-host Odd Shape Panel, Tom and Kimber. And then the next time you'll see the 3 of us will be at their Battleground. So I think Battleground is July 23rd. So you'll see us on July 24th, Monday, around 8 o'clock. I don't think it's going to conflict with Odd Shape Panel. So Monday, July 24th, to talk Battleground, which is the next SmackDown pay-per-view. So until
SmackDown Live.
SmackDown Live, yes, pay-per-view.
And it'll be and of course it's going to be, and I should note that Battleground will be in our
in Philadelphia, right?
Philadelphia, but we won't be there because unfortunately we'll both be returning from out of town on separate out of town getaways. Well, getaway for me, conference for her. So we'll be returning from separate things. So we might not even see Battleground until Monday during the day in between us getting our routines back.
But I'm
and for me, when Game of Thrones is on, I watch Game of Thrones, so the hour I miss of the pay-per-view I have to catch up on the next day.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be conflicts. I'm not going to probably watch pay-per-view live either because of Game of Thrones, but I'll catch it up the next day or something. I'll make sure I get it. But until the Battleground, glad to have Eric back, the Hitman. So we had Eric back, and hopefully we'll see him in the next pay-per-view. And for Delisha, the Glamazon, as well as our fact checker, Joe, we'll see them again. And then I am always the People Champ, Cal, and we'll see you guys at Battleground. Later.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Night.
Joe.